I had a client recently that experienced a cringe-worthy moment, and I think we've all been there. I know I have. You know, when you're trying to break a habit or a pattern, there's something that you were doing that you realize just isn't you at your best. Maybe it's losing your temper, maybe it's saying something that you regretted, maybe it's just having some kind of reaction instead of a response. And when you fall into that old thing, it's really hard not to beat yourself up because you knew better. You've been working on this. And I hear my clients lament that all the time. But I always feel like it's really important to recognize that when you catch yourself falling into an old habit or pattern, it's actually a sign of progress. And here's why. There's actually research that shows that when you are evaluating your behavior and you're asking yourself, what is it that led me to engage in that or to fall into that trap? And what can I learn from it? Your brain actually secretes a hormone called myelin, which increases your ability to learn and make new neural network connections. So it's really essential. Now, the thing that we tend to do when we engage in something like a cringeworthy moment is we replay the video in our heads over and over and over again. And each time the cringe gets worse and worse and worse. And that can be helpful if you can replay that video once. But if you keep doing it over and over again, you're just going to get yourself into a spiral and you're going to end up feeling worse about yourself every time you do it. So what I often tell my clients, and I try to remember this myself, is that after you've watched and replayed that video in your mind once, the cool thing about human beings is we get to reinvent and rewrite the ending of that script. And we have the imagination and the ability to replay that video with the new ending. So especially if you're working on something and you're recognizing that, dang, I had a different way of responding that I really wished I would have engaged, rewrite the ending to your movie and watch that. So picture what it would have felt like for you to respond in a different way and replay that movie over and over and over again, because the research also indicates that mental rehearsal is just as effective in building new neural networks as physical rehearsal. So the more you replay the movie with you engaging in something the way that you feel is ideal, the more you're creating the path for your mind to follow the next time you're in a situation like that. So the final tip I would give you is to recognize that anytime you endeavor to do something better than you did before, you will be presented with opportunities to practice. That is one of the most glorious things about being human. Life doesn't give up on us, and when you decide that you have a vision of doing something better and better and better, you're going to be presented with multiple opportunities to practice. What this means, though, is that as soon as you get good at one thing, you're going to be given tougher situations. You're going to be given tougher people to relate with. You're going to have people and situations that really push your buttons. And you know what? You might revert back into old habits or patterns, but you need to recognize that when you are presented with a more advanced version of what you were originally dealing with, you have made progress. So rather than getting upset with yourself or the other person, what if you could reframe it as an opportunity to take your skill to that very next level? I hope that's helpful for you, and I applaud you. If there are any habits or behaviors that you're trying to rewrite or to improve for yourself, keep at it, don't give up, and remember that every time your buttons get pushed, you have the opportunity to choose a different response and to learn something in the process. Thanks so much for watching.